stuff about. Let's get our first story. Let's talk about Mason Gooding, his fine behind, who's been making a lot of, he's been making the circuit, promoting his new movie Hard Eyes, which comes out today. I definitely want to see this film. Haven't got every time I would look for tickets and stuff, it was always late, and I'm like, why are y'all putting this movie up? But I get it; it's a horror movie, They and also it's around Valentine's, so I think maybe they're purposely making these show times later because they want. It's a date movie. I mean, first of all, if there's any couples out there that love watching scary movies, kudos to y'all, because I know some people feel squirmish or squeamish. Well, squirming, you be squirming and you would be squeamish. But if you like stuff like that, well, first of all, I would love to be in a relationship with somebody who loves horror movie because as much as I do, because y'all already know when I'm on here, like I love all kinds of movies, but my favorite genre of film besides action films and sci-fi, horror is always at the top of the list. Like never a day goes by that I don't watch a scary movie. Like last night I watched Fright Night Part 2. That apparently was on Netflix. I'm like, I mean, not Netflix, it was on YouTube. I'm like, who the heck uploaded this whole movie on YouTube? So I sat there and watched that. I was thoroughly entertained because it was like, damn, it's been a minute since I've seen this. It was a long time ago I've seen this movie, and I actually sat and watched it. But anyway, so yeah, Mason Gooding has been doing the promotional circuit for Hard Eyes. You know what? Shout out to Cuba Gooding Jr. He made some good looking babies, with that white woman. I don't know your mother name Mason. I apologize. But so yeah. So while he's been on the promotional circuit for Hard Eyes, you already know that everybody's gonna be asking about Scream. And quite a few people have been asking about what can we expect from Scream 7, which you already know has been shrouded in a lot of controversy between all the stuff with Melissa Barrera being fired, Jenna Ortega dropping out for whatever reason she decided to drop out. And there's been so many conflicting reports. I don't want to sit here and rehash that. There have been many of Scream 7 videos that I've done on this where I've broken it down. Y'all can watch the old videos or you could just Google schmoogle. All the information is out there or whatever information they wanted to tell us. Now, Mason Gooding is back. People, I guess, have been upset about him coming back. I thought you was team, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, first of all, at the end of the day, a lot of these people are actors. They've got bills to pay, and they've got a lot of people on their team that they have to pay money too. Their agents, their managers, whoever else they got working with them on behind the scenes. They're not a solo situation. Every person that you see that is a performer has a team behind them that they have to pay money to. And they're part of whatever agency that they belong to, you got to pay your dues. So there's a whole lot that goes into this. And like I said before, a lot of you people out here piping up with the Free Palestine and all that other mess in regards to being upset over the whole Melissa Barrera thing, unless y'all about to create a GoFundMe for a lot of these actors that are signing up to do a Scream damn movie, then sit down and shut the fuck up because I don't want to hear it. So go out there and argue with your mammy. The real thing y'all should be out here doing is protesting these streets over the current fascism that is about to happen in our country. That should be the bigger thing y'all worried about rather than a bunch of actors starring in a freaking horror movie. So with that out of the way, Mason Gooding recently did an interview. And he was, I forget who the guy was that he did the interview with. It'll probably come up to me as I go through the article. But they were asking about what can we expect from this upcoming movie. And with all these actors signing on and stuff, it's kind of been having me scratch my head like, okay, so what's going on? Because y'all bringing back dead people and all this other stuff. And it's got people thinking, okay, is Spyglass desperate because the fandom is divided? So you have the legacy fans who are team Nev Campbell and Courtney Cox, those of us who've been watching the Scream franchise from the beginning, or is it that because Spyglass has come in and you have like the people who are the radio silence Scream jumper owners who came in through Scream 5 and 6 and their team Core 4, well, had the two of the Core 4 who are not a part of the franchise. And so it's created this division. So now y'all bringing in legacy cast members who supposed to be dead to try to be like, okay, so we're a little nervous instead of just making a movie and hoping for the best. So we're a little nervous. And now we need to start announcing all these castings. And it feels a little like desperate, especially when you have Matthew Lillard and you're announcing Scott Foley and all these other people. So in the story that was brought to us by Variety, they said that Gooding says that with Kevin Williamson directing directing Scream 7, as probably you don't know if, or maybe you do, he wrote the original movie. He also wrote Scream 2 and he wrote Scream 4. So he basically has said that Ghostface is the most brutal he's ever been in the seventh installment, and said, "quote It feels like an amplification of what came before, and there's no better indication of that than Kevin Williamson, who wrote the original, coming back now to direct." And they said, "I think that Ghostface is absolutely the most brutal he's been. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some stuff that they do to the human body that I feel like Kevin is breaking new ground with." And this is what he told Tommy Daddario in a recent video, who, sidebar, I have seen Tommy Daddario around, and he gives me very much like Superman tease, the little curl he had in the front of his. I'm like, who is this man? Where has he been? And why is he so fine? Let me stop being a whore for 5 minutes. But I was like, okay, who this pretty man that's over here interviewing Mason Gooding? So then Gooding also described Scream 7 as gross, but in a good way. Well, I don't know how you could be gross in a good way. But then he also said, "There was a prosthetic that sat in the makeup trailer that actually turned my stomach over. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it, but it's incredible stuff. They really have an incredible effects team over there, and they're working overtime." Now, Gooding also said that he's most excited to work with original Scream starlet Neve Campbell in the upcoming sequel, after not getting a great opportunity to work with her on Scream 5. And he says, "I get to work with Neve in Scream 7, who I didn't get a great opportunity to see and talk to on a personal level. So in this case, even just getting to be around her feels like I'm getting part of that story, and I feel better for it." And I have to say, you want to know something? I don't really think he had any. If I can think far back to Scream 5, I don't think I don't think he had any scenes with her, because the only ones that really had scenes with her would, of course, be Courtney, because they've been working with each other since the beginning, and then it was Melissa and Jenna, and then of course at the end, the third act, the two killers. Mason pretty much was out of commission. Like, but by the time that Nev and him got to the house and all the stabations happened, he was already stabbed up in the yard, was presumed dead. So, if you're not in the shot, you're not in the scene. Like, I mean, he's not on call that day. So all the scenes that feature Nev, I don't believe that Mason actually got to be there. So with him saying this, I think that's pretty cool. I know I've heard a lot of people sit up in here and say that they believe that, oh, he's going to be the one that is the opening kill. I do not believe that. I'm like, number one, y'all done rocked his behind twice in two separate movies, and he lived. More so than, the way y'all was stabbing up Dewey, and then y'all kind of like up the ante with him. I'm just like, no, there's no way that y'all gonna do that to him, because that would be the most dumbest thing. I think that would be just stupid. Is that y'all stab him up? He got tag team in Scream 6 with the killers, with the stabation of him. But then y'all gonna kill him off in the opening act? Like, that would be the dumbest thing, under the sun. So I really believe that what's gonna happen is, because we lost the other two, which would be Melissa and Jenna, they have bumped up Mason and Jasmine as more or less the co-leads of, since they're legacy cast, I believe they're going to be given more to do in this one. I don't want to say they're like the leads, whatever, because I don't necessarily know the level of how much is a lot of people going to be involved. There's been a lot of casting news, so I don't even know how many scenes a lot of people's going to have. But he said he's filmed a lot, so I do believe that he does have a much bigger role in the film, and I'm hoping so. As far as like Kevin Wilson, yeah, he doesn't have a lot of director experience. He has written the film, so he understands the DNA of the franchise. I'm hoping that he did have some sort of input in the script, because it doesn't make sense. Like, if Kevin Williamson's voice understands and is the DNA of the Scream franchise, why wouldn't you ask his input? Why would he just be there looking at, figuring out the scenes and directing and all that other stuff? He should have. I would be like, I'd just be like a ghostwriter, in the sense of, I'm giving a little input. Let's tighten this up a little bit. Oh, wait, why don't we just change this dialogue? This is not something Sydney would say. This is something she would say, because he created her. But no, Courtney, I mean, with Gail wouldn't do that. Gail wouldn't say that. So let's change this up. So I do feel like they're not saying it, but he does. Well, at least in my spirit, I feel it. I don't have this as fact, or I don't know this for certain. But I feel like that he has injected a little bit of his DNA into this movie. So at certain points, I'm like, okay, now that definitely sounds because there was some issues I had with the writing in Scream 5 and 6 and the third acts in both films kind of irritated me. Although I will say the chick that was in oh my god, what's her name? The one that was the one that killed Dewey. I do feel like she was a damn good Ghostface. The way she was acting her asshole, which is why I understand why she getting the Oscar nominations and stuff. So Mikey Madison. So I like Mikey Madison and the part that she played in that film. So yeah, this is what we're hearing so far. But to answer the whole question about him and the whole brutal thing, haven't we had this conversation before? Like whenever we've had Scream movies in the past, they've been like, oh, this is the most brutal he's ever been. Oh, this is the most brutal he's ever been. I'm like, child, we've heard this song already. Can y'all skip to track 3? I'm tired of hearing track 2. Because we've heard y'all say this is the most brutal. Y'all said that in Scream 6. And don't get me wrong, there was certain scenes in Scream 6 that I was like, okay, it was a bit brutal. Like, shout out to Annika. The way she went out, I was like, damn, I know that had to hurt when she fell during that crazy ass scene. And I feel like the person who had the most brutal death scene. Oh my god, what was the girl's name in Scream 4 who was friends with Kirby and oh my gosh, and Sydney's niece. The girl that was next door, she was getting stabbed up and all that blood was all over the room. And then Sydney went and ran next door and was trying to get up in there. Like her friend, she got the brutal kill too. And let's not forget about Casey Becker. Casey Becker definitely got the brutal kill. They even at one point even cut out how brutal that scene was, especially when they had her hanging from the tree in front of her house with her guts hanging out. Although there are some sequences where if there's certain versions, and I believe I have it on cassette. That's how far back I go with Scream. Because when we used to go rent movies from Blockbuster, you could literally go and you would just record the movie to a cassette tape. So I do remember like when I had the version which you see the guts spilling out. Whereas now the other versions that you would get, it was so like just be hanging. So they edited it around a little bit. But so yeah, for the most part, I'm excited for the film. I'm still a little nervous about what they plan on doing with Scream in regards of it does feel a little bit uncertain. So what I will do is I'm just going to sit and wait until this film comes out, and I will determine for myself if it was worth the wait, and if it was just a lot of internet talk that we should just kill the noise and just wait and see until this film comes out and we come up to our own conclusion. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Do you believe what Mason is saying that this might be the most brutal Ghostface we've ever seen? And they have some pretty gnarly prosthetics that they're going to be coming up with in regards of certain characters they're going to be killing, in that whole situation. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.